So let's take a look at our first PDF and let's talk about the alphabet a little bit. Okay. Now, as I mentioned before, we have 44 letters, which is a lot, but to be fair, on the positive side, one Hungarian letter will always have one sound. Okay. So, for example, if we take a look at English and this word here. Okay, now in English it's pronounced something like December, right? December, I-A-Ö, if you look at the three E's in the words. But in Hungarian, which we actually spell it exactly the same, it's going to be December, okay? December. So English, December, Hungarian, December. So that's quite nice. That's so once you feel comfortable with the letters and once you can actually use them and you're not mixing all the ash and the z and the c and so on, you can read virtually anything. Obviously, understanding it is a different case, but reading Hungarian is, I would say, it becomes quite easy after a while as every letter has their sound and it's always going to be the same sound, and we also pronounce every letter in a word. Okay, so there won't be, for example, if you look at again, I'm just bringing some English examples. Here you wouldn't pronounce the K, right? So it's not a knife, it's a knife, but in Hungarian this never happens. Okay, so every letter you see, you have to pronounce, but with the same sound. Okay, so if you take a look at this, now we're gonna start with our A, okay? Oh, sorry, became a bit too big. Okay, the A is going to be A. Okay, so I try to help you a little bit with English, with the what, and the A with the little accent, with the line, it's gonna be an A. Okay, so A, A. Now you see I put a little smiley face here. And the reason why I do that, because this is how I usually explain it to my students, that there is these two letters, which is the A and the E, you will see later, that really when there's the one with the accent, you just have to smile and then you're gonna get it right, okay? So, what, o, ba, a, okay? O, a, o, a. So for example, my name, as you can see under the video, it's this one. So let's give it a try. How would you pronounce it? Okay, it's not Anna, it's not Anna, it's Anna. Anna. Good job. Okay, then let's move on. We're gonna go to B. So that's quite easy. B, like baby. B. Okay. Then we have T. T, like tsunami. Okay. And Ch, as in church. Okay. T, Ch. Okay, important note, C will never be a K in Hungarian. Okay, I know it's very tempting to use it as a K, but it's always a T. Okay, so if we go from the beginning again, A, A, B, T, Ch. Okay, can you try it? Okay, let's do it again. A, A, B, T, Ch. Awesome. Okay, then let's move down a little bit. Let's go to the. Okay, sorry, maybe it's a bit too small, a bit too big, sorry. Right, so then we get the D and Z, J. D as in dog, Z as in Hudson, and J as in jungle, okay? D, Z, J, okay? Now, D is important, we use it a lot, but Z and J, we actually hardly ever use this word, especially J. Really, pretty much the only place you might see is some names and maybe the name of a street, but it's not a very common letter in Hungarian. Okay, good. Then, as you can see, we are coming to another the smiling letter. Okay, so this is gonna be an bed, okay, and then we smile, e, 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 bed, cafe, Then okay, fish, Okay? It's not the th you might have in English, okay? Not the th, it's always a f. Okay, and to be fair, in Hungarian, this is the closest that we have for th. So that's why many Hungarian, when they speak English, and for example, they have the word, let's say, this word, okay? Many Hungarian will pronounce this a thin, because for us it's pretty difficult to get this th right, okay? But Hungarian, it's always a th. Okay, then g, g, and then the infamous j. Okay, j, during j. You might have heard this before, as this is something that people learn pretty quickly. The hogy vagy, which is how are you? Okay, it's not hogi wagi. Okay, it's hogy vagy, hogy vagy. Okay, g, j. Okay, so let's go from the E just to revise again. Okay, e, f, g, j. Okay, you try it. Okay, I'll show you again. E, f, g, j. Okay, then we have the H, which is a h, h. Okay, and then we can see the vowels, but as you can see there is no smiley face, and the reason for that is because A and E, the A and the E, is the only two vowels where the sound is actually different, whether there is the accent or not, right? So we had the A, and then we had the E. But with the rest of the vowels, good news, the sound is actually the same, but it's about the length what changes. So I mean, this is not uppercase letter, so you don't really see, but normally there is a small dot on top of the I, okay, and it's gonna be like a short E, like thin, okay? And then when you see this longer line, okay, that makes it a longer vowel, so it's gonna be E, like B, okay? So E, 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 E. Can you try it? Okay, awesome. Good. Then we get our first y, okay? Again, this won't be a j, okay? It's always a y, as in yes, okay? Y, k, like kiss, l. And then as you can see, I put yes again because the ly and the j is exactly the same sound, okay? So the ly is not like a l, okay? For example, the word, recorder, okay, is this one. So this is gonna be furuya, furuya, okay, and not furulia. Okay, it's important, it's just a y sound. And what is difficult about these two letters that sometimes we spell with this J and sometimes we spell with the ly. Okay, as if you decide to learn Hungarian, you know, this is something that you kind of organically pick up. There are a few rules, for example, the words that connect with food, we usually use this J. But it's something that also Hungarian kids, for example, struggle because to getting the right that which yeah do you need, okay? But again, pronunciation is the same. Yeah, yeah. All right, then we have, so you know, it's fairly similar, the M to English M might and N need. Okay, so let's go from the J. Okay, J, H, I, I, J, K, L, J, M, N, N. Okay, you try it. Okay, and then we can do it together again. J, H, I, I, J, K, L, J, M, N. Very good. Okay. All right, we can let's just do the left side again, okay? Again, we start with the smiling A, so A, A, B, C, Ç, D, D, C, E, E, F, F, G, G, H, I, I, J, K, L, J, M, N. Okay, well, we're done with the half of it. So let's move on. As you can see, we have many more vowels to come, unfortunately. Okay, now we finished with N, which is a need, and then we have this double letter where we put the NY next to each other and becomes ny, as in new, ny. Okay, now as you can see, we have nice group of vowels here. Okay, again, there is no smiley face, so the sound is gonna be the same. Okay, with these two and these two, it's all about the length. Okay, O like November and O as in whole. Okay, O, O, O. Okay, and then when you see the double dot, okay, this is the as in burn. And the long one is like, when children don't, or like anybody doesn't know how to say it, like, something like that. So, ö, o, o, ö, ö. Okay, can you try it? Okay, let's do it together again. O, o, ö, ö. Very good. Right. P is the same as English, P. And then we have the Q, which again, you will never find it in any normal Hungarian word, some names, and then it's sort of like pronounced as a Q. But it's really, I hardly ever see a Q, honestly, written anywhere. All right, then, okay, we come to R, okay? Now we do like to roll this R, okay? So R. Uh, so in Hungarian, if I would pronounce this, I would be like red. Okay, obviously in English, it's like red, maybe it's maybe not as, you don't stress it so much, but in Hungarian, it's usually we roll it, and it's also something can be quite tricky. For example, when I was a kid, I had to go to speech therapist because I remember I couldn't pronounce my R, but yes, so it's a r. Okay. All right, now what about what's going to happen with the S? Okay, so when the S stands on its own, okay, it's a sh, as in sh. And when it's used with the Z, okay, it's going to be a s. Okay, so sh, s. Okay, now let's bring the C's together a little bit. So t, ch, sh, esh, s, s. Again, t, ch, sh, s. Okay, can you try it? Okay, t, ch, sh, s. Okay. I know it's a lot, very easy to mix up. You will probably mix it up for a little while, but then I swear it does get easier. Okay, now let's see what's left. We have our t, okay, t, like teacher, and then with the ty again, this double letter, this becomes like a ch, like Tuesday, ch, t, ch, t, ch. Okay, and then we again have a nice group again. Okay, again, it's all about the length. The length is the difference. U, put, u, fool, u, u. Okay, and then what is the U with the double dots? Honestly, I didn't really find anything similar in English. Okay, now we pronounce this as an u, u. And the long one with the lines is u. So, u, 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 U. Can you try it? U, 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 U. Very good. And then the rest, where we have the and the W, again, normal Hungarian words don't have a W in them. Names sometimes have W's, okay? But it's pronounced as a V, and the V. X, same thing. Hardly ever see it. Now Y, okay, now Y is an interesting one because as you might have recognized or realized, we often use Y together with another letter, like this become a K. Here we had a N, then we have a Y and a Y, okay? Now, but when it stands on its own, it's gonna be an E sound, okay? E. For example, this is a common name. Okay, or sometimes Takács is a common name, but sometimes it gets a Y at the end. Okay, now this would be Takácsi. Takácsi. Okay, all right. And then the last two is the Z, as in zoo, and je as in pleasure. So Z, je. Okay. All right. Well, this was the alphabet in a nutshell. We're gonna do the entire thing again. Just to revise a little bit, and then we'll actually put what we learned in practice and we will start reading a few words. Now let's do it again. A, A, B, T, Ç, D, D, C, E, E, F, G, G, H, I, I, J, K, L, J, M, N, Ñ, O, O, Ö, Ö, P, Q, R, Ş, S, T, K, U, U, Ü, Ü, V, V, X, I, Z, J. Okay. Congratulations, you got the entire alphabet. Now let's try to, I have a few words here. Again, I collected the vowels here just to help a little bit. So again, A and E is remember the only one where it changes the sound. Okay. O, A, E. Okay. The rest sound doesn't change. When you see the longer line, you have to make it a bit longer. I, O, Ö, Ö, U, Ü. And yes, if you maybe you might start to count it is actually 14 vowels. But yes, again, not all of them are not 14 completely different vowels. Okay, now let's try to do this. I have some words for you. First, I would like you to give it a go. How would you pronounce this word? Okay, it's a kutya. Kutya. U, ç, a. Kutya. Okay, the next one. Again, you try it first. Okay, it's ajtó. Ajtó. A, j, ó. Ajtó. All right, now classic one. Again, it's gonna be an easier one. You might say Budapest. Okay, you might say Budapest, but based on the Hungarian pronunciation, it should be a Pest and not a Pest. Because the S, we make it with the S and the Z together, the S and the Z together. Okay, so B, U, D, A, P, E, Sh, Budapest. Okay. Four is a bit harder. Again, you try it. It's a könyv. Könyv. Okay, I know it's a bit hard to pronounce because we have the ñ and the v right next to each other. K, ö, ñ, v. Könyv. Könyv. Okay, what about five? It's a bit longer. I'll give you a little bit more time. Okay, as you can see, we have lots of double letters. Okay, so CS is together is a ch, e, r, e. SC together is a s, and y, ñ, and e. So ch, e, r, e, s, ñ, e. Cseresznye, cseresznye. Okay, E's are the same pronunciation. Okay, it's not. I mean, it's always just e. Cseresznye, cseresznye. Okay. Okay, six, you try? Okay, hopefully that was easier. Kenyér, kenyér. E, ñ, r. Okay, You see, smiling. Kenyér. All right, now let's try seven. Okay, I'll help as well. Magyarország, Magyarország. A, gy, a, r, o, r, sz, á, g. Magyarország. All right, A. All right. Ny, a, k, l, á, c. Nyaklánc. Nyaklánc. Okay, I know it's tempting to read it as maybe nyaklán or something like that, but remember, C is not a K in Hungarian, it's always a T. T. Nyaklánc. Good, let's take a look at nine. Hagyma. A, gy, a. Hagyma. Hagyma. Okay. And 10 is kind of a joke. The word is actually plumber, but it quite nicely shows the rhythm of Hungarian. Okay, again, you try it. Okay, it's vízvezeték szerelő. Okay, vízvezeték szerelő. V, I, Z, V, E, Z, E, T, É, vízvezeték, vízvezeték, Sz, E, R, E, L, ő, szerelő. Vízvezeték szerelő. Vízvezeték szerelő. Okay. So again, let's just very quickly go from the beginning. Kutya. Ajtó. Budapest. Könyv. Cseresznye. Kenyér. Magyarország. Nyaklánc. Hagyma. Vízvezeték szerelő. Okay. Awesome. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope maybe reading it wasn't so scary or it wasn't so difficult. Again, a few weeks practice and everyone gets better at it. Okay. Now let's play a game. Okay. This is what we're gonna do. All right, so I have the entire alphabet here, okay, and I'm going to give you, I'm going to read the letter, okay? And you can try, maybe if you want, you can try to write it down first. If you can somehow manage on your computer, maybe you can put something like this on top, for example, this. Okay, whatever. But it's totally fine if you just write it down. Okay, but again, I'll say the letter and see if you can find it. Okay, all right. N, N. It was the N. Okay. U, U. It was this long U. O, O. Okay, I didn't smile, so this is just A without the accent. F, F. Okay, it's here at the F. P, P, P. Okay, here's the P. A, A, A. Okay, there was a bit of something that was smiling. So this is the E with the accent A. Okay. T, T. Okay, that's the T. O, O, O. Hopefully you felt it that it's a longer vowel, so it's this long O. Sh, sh. Sh. Okay, there is usually among my students, sometimes there is a bit of confusion here. This is the S, sh. Okay, j, j. Alright, this is the one that we barely use it. H, h. Okay, there's this H here. Ch, ch, ch is the TY. R, r. It's rolling. We are rolling our R. Okay. E. 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 You might be tempted to pick the E, but it's this one, okay? And it's a short E. B. B. Right. X. 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 Okay, it's right here. Then Z. 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 Right, this is our Z. U. 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 Okay, you probably heard that it's short, and it's the U with the double dots. U. M. M. Okay, it's an easier one. Y. Y. Okay, now there are two of these, right? If you remember, the J, this here, and the LY is the same sound. Y. Y. Okay, K. K. Okay, it's this K. Remember, not a C. We don't pronounce the C as a K. E, E. Okay, that's our E, E. D, D. It's the T. E, E. Yeah, I realized I made a mistake. So with the I is an E, and I guess I could have also picked the Y here. Okay. G, G. Okay, you should have picked the G. T, T. Okay, yes, this is the C. T. O, O. It's a short one. This is the O. Q, Q. It's here. Again, not very common. J, J. Okay, it's this one, like the hogy vagy. E, E. We don't have so many vowels left, so you probably already found it. Again, it's long one, it's the long E. S, S. Okay, it's this one. I see. S. D, D. Okay, it's the DZ. U, U. Okay, now you might have thought about if it's an U or this one. No, it's this one. U. J, J. That's right, that's the ZS. V, V. Okay, it's the both of them, same sound. There is no difference. A, A, A. Okay, it's the smiling A. Ñ, Ñ. Ç, Ç. U, U. This one. Ö, Ö. Okay, does it sound short, long? It was a short one. Ö. L, L. It's the L. And the last one, can you try it? Ö, Ö. Okay. Good job. I hope it went well and you enjoyed this quick game. Right. Now, I do have another game. If you, it's one thing that I really like to do in the classes, and it's gonna be a quick bingo. Okay, so I just want you to pick 9 letters. Okay, I have the full alphabet here, so if you need help, you can just use these. You can use this list and just pick 9 letters. Okay, hopefully you managed to pick one. If not, just pause this video and then just quickly write it down. And I have this box and I have the entire alphabet in here. Okay, so I'm going to start picking out the letters one by one. I read it to you first, okay, without showing which one. And then let's see if you get a bingo, right? Which bingo can be, either this line or this line. It doesn't matter. Okay, so the first one is going to be a k, k. Okay, and that's our K. Okay, next, Q, Q, Q. That's the Q. Okay, all fell on the ground. H, H. That's the H. Sh, 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 sh. Next is E, E. Okay, E is the double dots and it was a short one. E. Y, ellipsilon, ellipsilon, y. So I have the ly here. That's yeah. Okay, next is F. 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 That's this. G. G. That's the GY. Y. I. I. Okay, so the Y is the Y. It's here. Okay. V. V. And it's the normal V, not the W, so it's just a V. Ch. Ch. Okay, this was the TY. J. J. That's the CS. A. A. Okay, that's the E with the accent as I was smiling. A. E. E. Okay, with the short I sound. R. R. Okay, we are rolling the R. G. G. That's the G. Z. 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 Ch. 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 CS. A. A. Okay, I was smiling, so it's the A with the accent. A. O. O. Okay, it's the short one, it's the short O. M. M. D. 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 N. 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 X. X. O. O. Okay, next is B. B. J. J. E. E. That was an E. D. D. D is the DZ. O. O. Okay, hopefully you felt that it was quite long. It's the long O. H. Oh no, sorry, it's not an H. Sorry, I accidentally went it upside down. U. U. Okay, it was the short U. Y, y. Okay, now this is again the same sound as Y, but this was our J. T, t, t. Okay, that's the C. Almost done. You probably already had your bingo, but I'm gonna finish it. L, L. What's the L? V, V. W, U, U. Okay, now we have three next to each other. U, this is the long U. Ñ, Ñ, and Y. U, U. Okay, that's the short U. This one here. P, P, I, I. The long I. U, U. The long U. Ö, Ö. This one here. And T, T. Here. And S, S. Okay. Congratulations. You had to have your bingo by now. So if you didn't find it yet, then there might have been something might have gone wrong at some point. Okay. Very good. Now really what's left here is just tell you a little bit more about the structure of the language. Okay, I just wrote like a couple of pros and cons to Hungarian. Is something you might have known, maybe not. But the first one is that so the pros, the good things about it, that for example the nouns don't have genders, right? So like French, Spanish, Italian, German, it's a kind of difficult. I mean, it can be very difficult to get it right, which is like a der or a di or a das or something like that. The Hungarian doesn't have this. Nouns will never have a gender. Okay, but the cons, on the other hand, is that the words are very different from any other language. So, as you might know, that the root is the same as Finnish, and it's true that I mean Finnish have a similar way of they are also reading every letter is the same sound. They're also using suffixes, but the words are not. So the words are not the same. So if a Finnish person tries to talk to me, I wouldn't understand anything. So that's quite difficult, especially in the beginning, because when somebody might speak English and then they start learning Italian or Spanish or some other languages, maybe or maybe even French. They can recognize many words, not really with Hungarian. But on the bright side, it's an amazing secret language, as most people don't know it. So if you learn it and you speak to Hungarian, you speak in Hungarian in another country, it's a very good because again probably no one will understand it. Okay, now another point that only has three tenses. Okay, so means we have really one future, one present, and one past tense. Okay, obviously in English you have a variety of tenses, especially past, right? So in English it would be like I went or I was going, I have gone, have been going, had gone, had been going, used to go. Now all of this would be mentem in Hungarian. Which is nice. But to be fair, with those three tenses, we also have something called definite and indefinite conjugation. So that makes it a little bit harder, but there is not a variety of tense you have to learn. Okay, and yes, so I put it here to the cons, definite, indefinite. So we would conjugate the word want a little bit differently, whether I want to say I want a cake or I want this cake, and that's not the only rule that or this, but yeah, overall it's quite nice that the three tenses. Okay, another pro that runic pronunciation is easy once you get all those letters right that we just practiced, because again, the letters have the same sound, okay? Cons is the suffixes on everything, okay? So what's a suffix? Suffix that comes after a word, right? Usually to change its meaning. So for example, comfort, that's that's noun. Comfortable, that's an adjective. But we use suffixes to conjugate. So to say like, I live, you live, she lives, élek, élsz, él, élünk, érdekelnek, right? So we use suffixes for literally everything, okay? For the prepositions, to say in, on, to, from, for the plurals, to mark it as the object, really everything, okay? So I feel like almost every letter in the alphabet, we have a suffix with it. Okay, now I'm actually not really sure if it's a pro or a con that we don't have a strict word order. In some cases, it's nice that you can kind of put like, okay, if I want to say on Saturday I'm going to the pool with my friends, or I'm going to the beach with my friends, it's not really, you can also say I'm going to the beach with my friends on Saturday, or to the beach I'm going on Saturday with my friend. You could do all of this in Hungarian, but it's also something that makes it hard. And because, for example, in English, you have this something called SVO. So you usually start with a subject like I, and then you continue with the verb like, and then object books. I like, I like books. Books is the object. Okay. Now in Hungarian, this would be very different because, first of all, we barely even use the subject. Because it will be in the suffix who does the action, and then the verb is not usually in the beginning. It's either towards the end or maybe at the very end. So normally how you would start saying a sentence in English, you really have to turn it kind of like completely upside down to make it better in Hungarian. Okay, and the last one is that it is an incredible achievement, honestly. Like I would say that it really can take years to learn it. With some nationalities, it's easier. Like I've worked with, for example, some Turkish people, and they have their system is a bit, quite similar. So some nationalities pick it up easier than other ones. I also taught lots of Koreans. They also have similar word order, and that makes it harder. But it's really I do believe it's an amazing language. It's beautiful. The vocabulary is very nice. But it does, takes a long time, but everyone should be incredibly proud of themselves. So even if it just gives it a go, or actually learns it. And I'm gonna stop talking in a minute. But just to show you a little bit the structure. So in English, I study Hungarian twice a week with my language teacher. Okay, now let's see where is what. Okay, so we have the subject here, right? The I. Okay, now that I is actually here, sort of. Okay, because tanul, this is the verb. Okay, so study is tanul, but the I studied is this ok suffix. Okay, so there is no actual in, which is I. You don't really need it in the sentence because every suffix will be different for the different cases. So you study would be tanuls. He or she studies would be tanul. We study is tanulunk. You guys study is tanultok, and they study is tanulnak. And because of this, because they are all different, we don't actually start with the I. Okay. Now we have Hungarian. Okay, that's here. And then we have this suffix here, this ul, which we usually use. You can only use them with languages and only with certain verbs. Okay, so if you want to say you're studying a language, or you can speak a language, or you know how to use a language, we have this. Okay, then we have twice a week. Okay, that actually here. Okay, usually in Hungarian, if you say a time, that comes first. So like saying like rarely, on Monday, twice a week, and so on. Now this szer means this is the once, twice, three times, four times, and like on a week, that's the N. Okay, and then we have with my language teacher. Okay, now language teacher, okay, is nyelvtanár. Okay, and then you can see we have two things here because my is the and the vid is the mal. Okay, so nyelvtanárommal, even though it's one word, it literally shows you that it's possessive because of the and it also uses the vid because of the mal. So it's honestly, it's a bit like Lego. You kind of have to put together everything. And as you can see, almost every word has a suffix, right? So twice, on a week, I studied the Hungarian language with my Hungarian teacher. So when people say that it's really hard, I think this is one reason why it's really hard for so long until these structures become a bit more automatic because almost every word you have to think of, okay, what's the suffix here? And then, yeah, so that makes it difficult. And then just here's another example. Can I get a glass of water? As you can see, there is no I. I mean, again, this ok that refers to I. Okay, this can is this hot hat, which kind of means may I. Okay, cup. Now in this case, it's a get. And then pohár víz, that's a glass of water, and it's also the object of the sentence, which in English you don't have, but in Hungarian we always mark the object with a T or some kind of T. Okay. Now the verb is in the beginning. It's a bit different with if you are using a question or a positive sentence. If you're interested in this, you might take another course which tells you a bit more about it. But yeah, overall, this is what I thought should be the first class. I hope you enjoyed. And as I said, this course is really focuses on practical knowledge. So for now, we're not really going to get into the grammar, but I want you to be able to say things in a cafe and in other places. So yeah, I hope you got enough practice with the alphabet, and we have some more activities about this that you can download. And I hope you enjoyed the class, and I can't wait to have to do our second class. Okay. Köszönöm. Szia!